And you guys can see my screen as well, or no.
In a minute. Yeah, we will.
Okay.
So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is AJ Cáceres. I am the committee administrator for the Austin LGBT Chamber. So, I would like to start this event by acknowledging our sponsors. Our sponsors underwrite a lot of the things we do here at the Chamber for our members. Now, a little bit of background about the Chamber. The Austin LGBT Chamber was established in 1997, working to achieve equality, inclusion, and economic prosperity, and helping strengthen our LGBT ally businesses. Along with the Austin LGBT Chamber, we have our sister LGBT chambers in North Texas, San Antonio, and Houston. Members and individuals can get involved with the chamber by joining chamber committees, such as our Supplier Diversity Committee, our ERG Committee, Health and Wellness, and YPP, known as Young Professionals with Pride. With that being said, I would like to introduce Tahjar Roamartinez.
Thank you so much. Thank you, AJ, for the introduction. And I would like to introduce one of our panelists, Ebony Edwards from Tesla. She is the supplier. She is the Senior Supplier Diversity Partner at Tesla, and she'll be joining us today. Ebony is currently the Senior Supplier Diversity at Tesla. She previously was the manager of Supplier Diversity in Louisville Gas and Electric in Kentucky. She also continues to provide growth opportunities for diverse businesses across the United States. Her goal is to provide diverse suppliers with equal access to purchasing opportunities. Her work includes nearly 15 years of procurement experience as May companies in Macy's Midwest, the Department of Defense, Lewis Gas and Electric, Kentucky Utilities. She received a Bachelor of Science degree from Florida A&M University and a master's degree, a Master in Business Administration from the University of Texas right here in Austin. Ebony was on the board of the Louisville Visual Arts, an organization that worked to improve lives throughout visual arts, education, communication, outreach, and artist support. She co-founded the Community Engagement and also part of the WHAS Crusades for Parkland Boys and Girls. So without further ado, and there's many other accolades, but I definitely want to lean in. Everybody wants to hear from Tesla. So I'm going to stop talking. You can read for yourself as far as her bio, and let's lean in and learn how we small businesses can support Tesla. So without further ado, Ebony Edwards, please help us understand. Everyone wants to know, how do I do business with Tesla? So what are the 3 steps, the basic steps that we can do as small business to support Tesla?
So thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here, talking to suppliers about how to work with Tesla. Just to start, I've only been in my role for a few months, and I am building our supplier diversity program. We're starting with, how do we work with diverse suppliers, small businesses, in the places where, people are driving our cars and using our solar and have solar walls. So we're really trying to get active in that space around the Americas, around the world. And so how do you partner with us? We're building that. Right now, I will say email supplierdiversity@tesla.com. I respond to those emails. I need your capability statements. I need to be able to find you. We don't have a portal or anything, but I will be taking emails. Please include your capability statement. If I'm going to email your information to a buyer, I need the most information I can have in order to submit that to them. So I would highly recommend capability statements, emailing supplier diversity at Tesla, and just looking at our website, checking out our DEI page, checking out what we're doing in the community, and letting us know how we can work with you.
Great, thank you for sharing that. And so when small businesses are leaning in to try to engage with Tesla, and they're thinking, I'm a small business, what are some of the core areas that the smaller suppliers, rather individually or pulling together to bring value, how can they support you?
So we've done business with small businesses before. We want to work with you where applicable. Whether you're a caterer or you're a shuttle driver, janitorial, if we have opportunities and you show quality work, that's why I love capability statements. I want to know your experience and where you've been. If you show quality work, I want to see what we can do to work with you. If we have an opportunity, don't mind putting that out there. So I cannot harp enough on those capability statements.
Well, definitely what I will share with those small businesses out there, one of the ways you can definitely engage Teslas and companies like Tesla is through your chambers. And here at the
Yes.
LGBT chambers, it's really important not only to be part of the chamber as a funnel or a stop point for education and connection and access, but also with your certifications. They have some goals for LGBT certification. Just share a little bit about that. And thank you, Kim, for joining as well. We'll introduce her next.
So at this point, because we're building, we don't have goals. We're just getting to our baseline. Where are we? How do we increase? What does it look like, the landscape? So we're still building. We're looking at our policy. What do different states and cities require for us to live and work there? So we've got a lot of research to do. So goals right now is a strong word, but we are working to really build this program out.
And so that's a great segue to, as they are working to build, you say never, I have a mantra that says never get ready, stay ready. And so as small businesses are thinking, how do I get ready and stay ready instead of get ready? Pursuing not only your membership through your chambers, like your LGBT, but getting your LGBT certification puts you in position as they're formalizing those goals, because your chambers is working close with large vendors like Tesla to help shape those goals and what they look like, and talking with community engagement. So there's the value add. I definitely, if you have anything else you want to add, we will say thank you for chiming in, and we want to continue on with our program, introducing our next panelist.
Thank you all for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for jumping in. Before we go to our next panelist, super duper ladies, we have great individuals on the call, but I'll be remiss if I'd introduce our CEO of the LGBT Chambers, Tina Cannon. And so Tina, if you have a word or two, please go ahead.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you so very much. We are extremely blessed at this chamber to have amazing board members who are all volunteers, who give of their time and their treasure and their talents to be a part of the organization, to help not only their business grow, but to remember to look back and to reach back and to pull up others with them. So thank you, Tahjar, for your leadership on this. I know that you have so many businesses that you're trying to run in a given day. And so I know your time is extremely valuable, but I also know the subject is near and dear to your heart with supplier diversity, because it has helped shape your businesses and shape your success. And it is probably one of the fastest ways that a small business can take themselves to the next level, is having these conversations around supplier diversity with both corporate partners as well as governmental entities. You want to see exponential growth, and you want to see it quickly. This is the fastest route to get there. It sounds like I'm going to sell you a sham wow, but like that's no lie. Like we can point to our BEs that are in our organization that have seen incredible success in their own companies as a result of their participation with supplier diversity initiatives. And then just a quick note too, if you're tuning in, all of our webinars are available on our website a couple of days after the presentation. So if you missed something in this, you didn't get to jot something down, don't worry about it. You can go back and rewatch it, hit rewind and fast forward and blast past my part and get to the good stuff. And then you can also take a look at some of the other webinars that are there, whether you have questions about tax or how to handle COVID in the workplace now that we're all coming back to work. But there's a variety of different topics on there that are designed to help you manage your business. But I'll get out of the way now and let Tahjar take it from here.
Thank you so much. Without your support, it takes a village. And so I want to now introduce our next presentation. Kim Folsom. Hold one, please. Technical difficulties.
That's right.
All right. Sorry about that. I was on mute. Hello, everyone.
So I'm going to interview you real quick. Hold on a second. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with sharing the screen. Can you see me now?
I can.
Can you see the screen?
I can.
Okay. Awesome. So without further ado, Kim is an awesome serial entrepreneur. She's an investor. She has some great programs that help companies not only build strong foundations and structures, but then provide systems and solutions to scale. And that's in some of her boot camps. She just had an Austin San Antonio challenge. I have personally gone through these programs, had won third place. That's how tough the competition is. And she's just a phenomenal person. And so I'm not going to read her bio. I'm going to take that time so that we can ascertain her knowledge. And so high level, she's a high tech exec, exited multiple companies, but I cannot begin to hold a candle to her story. So I will let Kim tell you about the great things she's doing and how she can help us. And then following Kim, I'll tie it all together to share how I, as a small business, allow my supplier diversity certifications or my certifications be leveraged in the supplier diversity. So Kim, go ahead, take it on, please.
All right, thank you so much. Well, I'm delighted to be here. I'm super excited, and congratulations to you, Tahjar, and the Chamber for putting on this great workshop, because it's really being able to share the experience and the journey of what it takes to get your business to the next level. And then additionally, the connections, being able to leverage your connections to put them forward so other people can connect. So congratulations to you, and excited to not only just be a speaker today, but I'm excited to say that Founders First is also a member of the Austin LGBTQ Chamber. So thank you for having us and leading the way in many, many avenues. So as Tahjar mentioned, so I am the founder and CEO of Founders First. We are a national platform with a focus of growing more diverse founders. And we celebrate inclusivity. And so the Chamber is a key partner and a great founding partner for us to help businesses led by any folks in your community. How I came to, well, let me share with you. So Founders First, we are two organizations. On one side, we're a nonprofit accelerator. And what's different about us is we're focused on growing businesses, not just the next Facebook businesses, but the other, what we call Main Street businesses, like, can be IT services, distributors, administrative services, marketing, light manufacturing companies, and helping them get on the path of being, 7 and 8 figures, one. Secondly, be significant job creators in their communities. And third, building wealth for the founders. I founded Founders First in 2015. At being a diverse founder myself, I've been Founders First is my 7th business. Prior to that, I founded 6 tech companies and exited 3, raised over 30 million, and saw, hey, there wasn't a whole lot of folks that were doing the same thing, getting access to, dollars to grow their businesses and being able to, hire whoever they wanted and give them opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have. I mean, as a woman of color, I didn't see many women of colors in the roles of CTO or, VP, or, when I quit my, great corporate job and launched my first company, some 25 years ago. And so by being able to be the decision maker, that provided me with that opportunity as well. And so, so that was the impetus of starting it. And what's different about us also is we focus on not helping companies start. There's a lot of good programs that will help you start your business. We focus on helping companies grow. How can they, as one of the people said on one of the webinars we did, how to be responsible for the front of the paycheck as opposed to the back of the paycheck, meaning you've got a team of 5, 10, 20, 100 people that you're responsible for making certain that they get paid, and they get paid, a full salary that allows them to have a meaningful compensation that, allows them to get to the next level, be it buying a home, sending their kids to college, saving for retirement. that those things are super important. And so there's many things that businesses need to do to make that happen. And that's really what we cover in the programs we work with at Founders First. And we've got a pretty wide band of businesses that we work with. They can be as small as, 50,000 in annual revenue to as large as 5 million. That's generally the span. We've got, now I could say we've got 4 programs. We've got, one for, 3 of them are more structured education, as what Tahjar mentioned. But it's really, it's hard to get to where you want to be if you don't have a GPS, thing to help you get there. And there's components associated with that. So we really help you leverage, tools and techniques. And a lot of this is like what I learned over 25 years. As much as it sounds like I was very successful, let me tell you, I had lots and lots and lots of drama along the way. And we don't want you to continue the drama that I went through. So, it's, tried and true lessons. And it's done in such a way you don't have to be driving someplace to be able to take advantage of it. It's virtual, so you can, turn away from working in your business to working on your business by plugging into the Founders First platform. And so, to learn more about that, you can go through and visit foundersfirstcdc.org, where we've got the information about the 3 programs, which is the challenge, which Tahjar mentioned that we just did phase 1 in the Austin area. And then we've got our bootcamp program, which is targeted to companies 250 to 1 million. And then we've got our Fast Path program, which is targeted to companies 1 million and over. And then I think we're going to transition before I talk about how we fund companies, right? Okay. You're on mute.
Thank you. Yes, and so thank you for that piece. If you could go back to if folks are thinking about the cost, what does it take? I'm just starting out and I'm scaling the costs that are associated with investing in yourself and the importance of investing in yourself. If you could speak to that, because you'll hear a lot of small business saying, I don't have the funds, but if you can't grow, you got to pay to play, if you will.
Right.
If you're not ready, then you can't. So if you could speak, I love that, Bill.
Sure. Yes. I mean, most small business owners, and I was one of the, in my journey, is that especially diverse founders, generally they start businesses with their own savings, 401k, credit cards. Believe it or not, according to Inc. magazine, 65% of businesses start in that format. So, you can't have a 7 or 8 figure if you're not business unless you're able to invest something. Our programs are premier. Our programs are organized like a top tier tech accelerator, like many of the ones that I went through in the Bay Area. So, we don't take an equity stake in your business in order to go through your accelerator, but exchange, you do pay, what we consider a minimal amount of investment. And it's based on, your business, where you are in your journey. It can be as little as $150 to participate, or it may be, $1,000, depending on, the size of your business. And then the rest of it, is the costs, which are generally, 10 to 20 times that. You get a committed coach. Our coaches are people that have been where you want to be, so they have grown their businesses to be 7 and 8 figures. And so it's not just, the wisdom of Kim Folsom with going to this. It's being able to go through and get access to a lot of people who've done and grown their businesses and raised capital and exited, and you get the benefit of them. So everybody that comes into the program not only gets this great structured education of how to build your 3-year growth playbook, but you get a committed coach for 6 months. And then that works with you one-on-one. And helps you apply these tools to your business. The other thing that that we do is there's a pitch opportunity. There's lots of things that we do to hold you accountable. You are there with a peer, so you're not doing this alone, because as we all know, entrepreneurship can be a lonely experience. You're there with anywhere from 5 to 15 other business owners that have a committed interest in you being successful. And so we have, some interesting gamification. So you win points and badges and get rewards associated with that to make that happen. And then we also do a pitch event where you share your growth plan with the community, and you get feedback from other people who can help you, either connections, other sources of funding to help you be successful. But again, I invite you to visit the foundersforcdc.org website, and it'll give you the insights about the specific investment that we ask you to make along the way.
I definitely want to piggyback on what Kim and what Tina had put in the chat, and also that website is in the chat for all of our viewers can view and follow up with Kim and the chambers, because they are a member, to get more information. But one of the key things that Kim mentioned, as she has exited company, and what she alluded to, is that you go through some of these programs and giving up equity, you have to be careful of doing that, because when you exit, a colleague of mine had exited, and her plans were disrupted because what was left after she exited, and all the equity and the folks who took equity out of the company, it forged her to get another business because she could not sustain herself. So thank you for talking that piece about there's no equity stake in going through your program. I'd like to switch gears a little bit and talk about, now that we have gone through the program, we've got the structures in place, we went through the challenge, and we've perfected our elevator pitch, if you will, and we prepared ourselves in front of investors. Talk now into leveraging other resources to scale your business, and how to position ourselves not only to be in the front of a company like Tesla and many Fortune 500, 100 companies, but how do we position ourselves for investors who do want equity for our business and support us? How do we position ourselves well?
Certainly. Well, I can share with you one thing as a serial entrepreneur that is important to attract capital and a variety of any sources. It's being able to demonstrate predictable revenue. That is so important. You've got to be able to measure, be able to present predictable revenue. And then for people who want to do business with you, that's, large continuing contracts, like, you've heard about, Tesla, and others. I mean, so putting on my founder's hat as a founder of a business, which I always think of myself that as that first and foremost, being able to leverage one contract to get to the next contract, to get to the next contract, and that you have enough contracts going such that no one customer owns you. And guess what? Most customers don't want to own you, because if their business changed, they don't want to be so concerned that, oh my gosh, if I have to stop this contract with this particular customer, they're going to go away. And it's not just the founder, but it's all the jobs that they've created along the way. But in these big companies, there's a few things they want to know, that there's not any executional risk. And executional risk has to do with, there's things you've got to do in order to serve them. And how are you going to do it? And you do it in such a way that they're not going to have to tell you what you need to do. And secondly, do you have access to sufficient working capital such that you can scale if they, like what you do, and they want to, grow the contract, anywhere from double to 10 times. How are you going to scale to meet those needs? You may need to hire people, you may need to do new tooling, and all of those things that go along the way. And so being able to demonstrate that you have that backstop is super important. And many times, in my journey as a business owner, I would talk to, these large corporations that I had as customers and say, hey, I'm not the Oprah Winfrey with what I do. There's a whole bunch of other people who want to do business with you. Why aren't you doing business with more folks? And it would be, well, it's either executional risk, capacity, can they scale to meet our needs? Can they be adaptive to meet our needs? And generally, small businesses can't get access to resources, and capital being one, in order to have that flexibility. So when we built Founders First, one of the critical things that we had in place was, we didn't want to just be somebody who can tell you the know-how of what you wanted to do. We wanted to also be able to provide you with access to funding to help you grow to be the type of business that you can go through and do that. So when you have that conversations with the large Fortune 500 companies, and they say, how are you going to scale to meet our needs? And you can go through and say, well, I've got a growth partner that's going to help me do this. And they, you know, will help me with doing those particular things. And this is where I've been, this is where I'm going, and this is where I'm going to be able to help provide you with insights to help you be successful that you may not, you know, may not be doing today. Keep in mind, every business has to focus on their one or two at most things they do well. They have those things, but teaching you how to run your business is not one of the top 3 things that is in their business. And so you need to make certain somebody does that. And so that's some of what we seek to do. So, to brass tacks, we provide, we are direct investors and segment of the companies that we work with. We want them to have a growth plan of how they're going to grow, because investors are funding you. If any of you watch the show Shark Tank, they want their money back. They want to know that the company that they're funding, if you ever listen to Mr. Wonderful say that, I want to know that when I put my money out there, that I got a sense that they're going to come back home. And if they don't have a way of coming back home, I'm not going to send them out. And so you got to be able to think about that with your business. How are you going to tell that investor that, yes, it goes back to what I said at the top of this segment, predictability of revenue. Because when you have that predictability of revenue, you get to pay yourself, and then you get to pay other people like your investors back. And if you can't do that, it's going to be hard for you to attract those resources. And for folks that haven't done this before, it's okay. You can learn to do it. It's not some magical thing. I mean, when you believe it or not, some of the guys that you hear so much about, like the Mark Zuckerbergs and Bill Gates and all those other things, they had to learn to do it too. That's the thing that you get the benefit of through a relationship with Founders First, is we want to help you learn what it takes for your business to get to predictable revenue so that you can attract the resources to help you grow and sustain that 7- and 8-figure business. One thing I'll leave with is, of the 7 businesses that I have founded and grown, 5 of them happened during recessions. So this whole idea of things that happen right now during the pandemic, this is not a once in a lifetime moment. It happens many, many times. And you can do things in your business to be ready for it, because this is not going to be the last time that we're going to have the version of this. And it's being able to sustain that. And if you can, take those and apply those lessons, you can grow your business to be a successful one, that it also helps create wealth for you and your family and your legacy, because that's how you win. And when you win, you inspire others to win too.
And that's another great point. And we'll transition from this segment with that point. As we are focusing on the audiences here that are knowing that the tone and the topic is diversity, just like many companies are looking for diversity in their vendors, their suppliers, investors, especially now with the time and the culture and the tone, they're looking for diversity in business to invest in. So right. that is another addition add, getting a certification like the LGBTBE certification here with your chambers, is there are investors out there looking for you, and they're talking to the chambers here in Austin. They're talking to the chambers at the NGLCC, who are seeking, saying, what companies I'm looking for portfolios of business to invest in, and partnership. And so thank you so much. I could say it all day, but it's nothing like hearing it from the Oprah Winfrey in my eyes in business. So I am honored, and thank you so much for sharing. We're going to transition into how does that all tie? And I think there's no better story than your own story, your testimony. And so my name is Tahjar Roamartinez, and I am a retired Army communications officer. I am also the chair of the Supplier Diversity Committee here at the Greater Austin LGBT Chambers. And I was at a place where I went through Kim's very first Founders First boot camp or challenge here in Austin. And then I went growing my business and graduated and went through the second program, and on my path to 10X, and hopefully joining her FAST program when my schedule will allow. And so with those systems and structures and certification, I have every certification known to man, to include the LGBTBE certification, my BE certification. What that allowed me to do was find vendors who had goals, and working with companies. The perfect time to work with a company like Tesla's when they haven't formed their goals, and starting those relationships and being in front of them, being top of mind to help shape and influence what those goals should look like, especially when they are in your community and when they're in our communities. And then aligning with advocates and champions like allies who support your local chambers, allies like Founders First, who can network and advocate in addition with what you're doing or in tandem. So what does that do? Those structures, my model, I felt like when you go to church and you feel like the preacher's talking to you, when Kim says there's a company and all of your revenue was coming from that one person, it was me, it was government. And so I was very flat and linear. And going through her program, I added many layers like subscription and subscription models to get you through times where things are kind of turbulent or unknown. And so I can speak to what the program did for me and how taking my certifications and talking to different verticals in banking, different verticals in manufacturing, and saying, hey, I see that you're missing goals here, or you have goals. Let me introduce myself and tell you who I am. And I found myself having customers that I normally, they are not my core customers, or they're not the ones we are focused on, but they became a customer because it was a win-win. They needed some goals set in the LGBTBE certifications, and we were that rare unicorn or that met those goals. And I want to share that secret sauce with you all. I don't want to be the rare unicorn that's Afro-Cuban and veteran and LGBT, and I'm getting it all for myself. There's enough to share. And so we look forward to you definitely getting in touch with the chambers, and we can share more and continue to get uh, the tactical, not just the high level strategy, but the tactical, the daily how. Exactly how do I walk this out? And Founders First program is one of those that will walk it through how, and instead of it being so scenario based, but you get real tools that you use in life. And accountability. We all need accountability. I know I do. And it was just, I can go on and on about the program, but definitely talk to them who know more details about the program than I do. It is forever changing because the business needs, our business needs are changing, and their program is dynamic along with the needs of the businesses that they're supporting, and helping them for not only build the workforce, and helping us build cultures in our company that's sustainable and retains the talent. To her point, folks are worried about, do you have a high turnover, those kind of things. So that is how in a few examples, how the program has helped me, how my certification had allowed me to approach a company like Tesla, and interfacing with Ebony and many other companies, like our sponsors that they mentioned in the first when we first chimed in, and saying, this is who I am. I am that small company with big solutions, and this is how I navigate differently. Here are my differentiators. We're agile, we're quick, we're innovative, and you cannot get that in a large company, we all know. And so that's how I meet them where they are. There's just some of the many strategies where I'm able to leverage my certifications on the roadmap to 10x. And so AJ, if there's any questions, I know some folks have probably emailed some questions while we still have Ebony and Kim on the call. They can always connect with me. I'm right here in Austin, but we want to maximize their expertise and their talent.
And I was going to selfishly jump in
Absolutely.
and ask some questions. And I know Ebony's dealing with some issues, so she may not be hearing this question. But
Okay.
as and Tahjar and Kim, you can speak to this with your vast experience. How does a company go from being, I'm working in my kitchen, to having the cojones, for lack of a better word, to say, you know what, I want to work with a giant Fortune 50 company Like, how do you make that leap? How do you do that?
I'm going to let Kim answer that first, and I'll tell you the tease way, which is a
Okay.
little, you have to be extreme and you've got to be crazy
Yep.
in this space. It's a special kind of entrepreneur. Go ahead, Kim.
It's a similar thing. I tell my investors a story of how I started Founders First. My investors from my first company had said to me, Kim, you should consider being on the other side of the table. And this was some 25 years ago. And it's like, are you kidding me? It took me 8 years to launch this company. I don't know how I'm going to go about investing in companies. It's like, I know how to run a tech company, and so that's what I'm going to do. But once I finally said, there's just not enough, inclusivity in some of the things that I saw as an entrepreneur, and I'm going to do it with my perception on there. But I was trying to figure out, well, the first thing is, find people who are doing what you want to do. Dream big as one thing is dream big with your eyes open. You can do that any place. It could be in your kitchen, it could be in your bathtub, it could be in your bed, it could be, and then go figure out who's doing it, doing what you want to be. When you grow up, if you had a magic wand, where would you be and who's doing it? And then, this is a book out of Tahjar's group. Go and find them in this was really going to sound bad. Go find them and stalk them and be persistent and say, hey, I like what you're doing. If you had to do this again, what would you do differently? And that may sound crazy, but when I started Founders First, there was 2 guys that I identified that were doing one of the ways that I wanted to invest in companies. One of them was Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, and the other one was BJ Lackland. And so for Kevin O'Leary, I, was searching, where is he speaking? Where is he going to be speaking at? And I found he was speaking at a conference, a Veterans Day conference in Washington, D.C. I'm based in San Diego. I contacted the publication. Inc. was the producer of the conference and said, hey, I hear you're having a conference going on. I want to get a ticket. How can I register? Because I want to do a story on Mr. Wonderful. And so this would be a great way of going there. And then, they had the panel that he was speaking on. And I was the first person at the microphone and said, hey, this is my story. I want to be able to ask you a couple questions because I want to use this model to fund companies. Would you be open after this to answer a few of my questions? Sure. And that's how I connected with him. And then the other guy I connected on LinkedIn and I said, I really admire what you do. This is what I'm trying to do. Would you be open to meeting with me? I'm going to be in Seattle because that's where he was based, with meeting with me at this time. I'll come to your office. I won't take much of your time. I'll take 15 minutes. And it ended up talking to the guy for like, an hour and a half. It took a while to get to, some of this stuff, but that was it, is just going through and saying, one, a big vision statement of where you want to be and recognize it always takes 4 times as long and costs 3 times as much. So, you might as well say, I'm going to build a, X, 8-9 figure business. And this is what it's going to look like. And then find somebody who's doing that. And it may be the other way. Find somebody, if you said, who are the top people that are doing something that I think is really cool? And if I were to do it, I would do these things differently. And then probably longer answer than what you want to know, but
no, that's totally spot on. And I did some of that overlapping techniques that Kim did. So I would not only leverage and think, well, who do I know that's closest to? When I first heard about Kim, and I thought, oh my goodness, a woman who's exited IT companies, that's me one day. And so I did, who do I know that knows her? And who do I know in California? And I would be so relentless and say, could I please get a minute of your time? And calendars are totally full, and says, well, can I hire some of your time? Can I pay for coaching? And so you have to know that failure is not an option. So how do you get access to these companies and so on? You can find senior executives that are there and say, hey, I'd like to interview you. Little you know, they're getting to know you. And so folks love to talk about themselves. I know I'm one. So it's rare for me to know, not a million people could call me and say, interview me, but I know I'm saying that Ask them, can I interview? At the same time, they're learning you and your company, learning your passion. The second thing I would tell you, people do business with people they know, like, and trust, even if you don't have the best solution. But if people know you and they trust you, and even if they like you a little bit, and you find a commonality in the cause and you're passionate about what you do, you can become a very appealing person that someone is willing to, if not even work with you, they say, well, maybe I'll refer you. And that's how it happens. So it's your network, it's referrals. And then the third thing is, I dare you to be bold. Go in a Fortune 500 company like you belong there. And I will tell you, if you walk in a neighborhood, like I've gone through Beverly Hills, true story. Like I could afford a Beverly Hills home, not now, but one day. And I go through there like I belong, having a vision of what my home looks like. And then backwards saying, what kind of revenue do I need for those goals? You know, revenue for legacy. And so the takeaway is, be persistent, be consistent, and if you can, be bold. Be bold, because if you don't believe in you, then the other person won't. That's a long answer too.
I was going to selfishly jump in and answer my own question too, because I'm a recovering entrepreneur. Back in the day, I had several startups, and to Kim's point, like I was the only woman in the room 90% of the time, and I was one of like a handful of CEOs startups in the Austin area back in the early 2000s, and our company was Pets MD. We were the WebMD for pets. It was the easiest pitch in the world. But I remember working at to both your point about be bold, and to Kim's point, like be creative and make those contacts. I knew that I wanted to work with a big dog, all puns intended, right? So I knew I wanted to work with PetSmart, Petco. Back then, they were two separate companies. And so I scoured LinkedIn, found the right person, the right C-level decision maker, managed to figure out that person's contact information, got on the phone, their secretary or assistant answered the phone, and like all these things clicked in my head because I didn't expect the phone to answer. And I thought, oh no, I can't possibly be the CEO of my would-be enormous company that I was trying to front, calling myself. So I immediately looked around my kitchen when she answered the phone, and she said, "Can I ask who's calling?" And I said, "Yeah, this is Sally." She said, "Great, Sally. Let me get your last name and your email." So I'm in the kitchen because that's where all businesses start. And I look around, and I was like, "Sally McCormick." And I had to, while I was talking to her, I had to quickly go create an email address at my company for a Sally McCormick, because Sally was setting up the meeting for her C-level person and my C-level person, which was me, to have a discussion about how PetsMD and PetSmart could work together. And it goes back to like his point was like, act as if is the way I always say it. Act as if you're the only one that knows you're small.
Right.
You're the only one that knows you're small. So act as if. And long story short, right, it took about 6 months to finally close the deal. But in the end, we ended up powering all of the content on PetSmart's website for their transactional relationship that they had with customers coming to their site. So before it would just be like a box of flea and tick, and then we provided all the content to actually tell the end user why they needed that particular product. And it was just because, being quick on your feet, having Sally McCormick. So every startup I ever had after that, I would always do a Sally.McCormick at whatever the company was. She came with me and said a lot of meetings along the way. So yeah, act as if, be creative, be consistent. Like just be a dog with a bone.
You own the room.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's a great story.
Yeah.
We need to do more of this. I can learn more about Tina. Love that.
Yeah, there's lots of scotch, girl. We got this locked down. Lindsay and Emily, I know that you guys are on the call and you're probably multitasking as most small businesses are. I just want to make sure that we've got space for y'all to ask any questions that you might have. Hopefully they're crushing contracts as we speak. Oh, here comes Em.
Oh, yeah. No, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all your information. This has been really informative, and I really appreciate it. I don't have any questions right now, but I've been jotting things down and taking notes. So
good deal. And definitely, look to municipalities for what you do. Look for ISDs for what you do. We're working to make sure that the city starts accepting the LGBTBE program certification, as well as AISD. So as soon as those things pop, of course, we'll have big ta-das, but we're working those angles for y'all.
Also, Tina, for those who may, I'm learning, we got some feedback. We did a survey out there. Our chair, Val, did a survey out there, and it came back that a lot of our community, when I say our community, LGBT businesses, doesn't even understand the process to become certified and the why and where and so all of that. So if you want to speak to that, where they should go and reiterate why, and the value added, the value proposition.
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the onset, like there's
Yes.
just no way that, so it comes with your membership. You just
Yes.
have to fill out the forms and send in all your paperwork to say who you are, and that we actually check to make sure that you are who you are and your business is doing what it's supposed to be doing. But as I said in the onset of the discussion, the fastest way exponentially to grow your business is through supplier diversity.
Yes.
And when I serve on the city's MeBeWeBe, minority-owned and women-owned business enterprises. And every month we look at the city data on whether or not the city is hitting their current goals. And it is an enormous delta of what the goals are versus what the city is actually deploying. And of course, city staff will say it's because we don't have enough people in the system. There's not enough certified companies applying, or qualified certified companies that are applying to these. So there are millions of dollars on the table just here at the local level for providers. And it's everything from a PR person, a marketing person, a speaker, a statistician, a painter, all the physical trades, it's the entire gambit of resources that either municipalities or businesses here are looking for. But there are millions of dollars of unspent dollars on the table.
And the one other thing I want to add, when you are certified here through our chambers, this is a national certification. So it doesn't mean that you're only doing business here physically in Austin. I talk with San Francisco, and New York City has the largest set aside goal. San Francisco comes in, no, LA comes in number 2. So just keep in mind that it's not just physically here, but also where everyone's working remote, it opens up your opportunity as well. So I just want to.
Huge point. Grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Yes. So AJ, I know that we're coming up to the top of the hour, and we wanted to scale, or we wanted to blot out a lot of time for questions on the end, depending on how many folks have chimed in. And so I'll turn it back over to you, AJ, to do a closeout, last comments.
Yes, thank you so much, Tahjar. So if there is not any more questions, I would like to ask you to give us about 48 hours to upload this onto our chamber page. And the URL was dropped into the chat earlier today. I can go ahead and drop it again if you all would like. But yes, within the 48-hour time period, this should be up on our chamber website for rewatches and reshares.
And thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you, Tina. Thank you to our chair, Val, of the chambers. Thank you to the Greater Austin Chambers and all of our sister chambers out there in the state of Texas, the NGLCC. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Founders First. Thank you, Ebony, for continuing to be allies and supporters to diversify and innovate our vendors. Thank you so much. And that concludes this session.
Perfect. Thank you all so very much.
Thank
Good
you.
night. All right.